This week I got to talk with Cobie LaJeanne about her debut thriller Blood in the Cradle, which is a pitch black thriller that if you're looking for some of the grit of like Karen Slaughter and Gillian Flynn, you will love this one. Here's what it's about. When decorated detective Chloe Van Belle receives a call about a severed limb in a fountain, she dreads returning to Encounters, a renowned angel-worshipping church tied to her dark childhood wounds. She's further shocked to learn 6-year-old Lillian vanished from the congregation without being reported. Chloe's half-sister Rosie, a devout believer engaged to the reverend's son, remains unwavering that everything unfolds according to divine will, refusing to see the evil in front of her. An eerie search leads to Lillian's body tucked in a cradle with a vintage watch, linking the crime to a similar murder 20 years ago. The gruesome scene triggers Chloe's morbid fascination with death, making her visual-gustatory synesthesia, which gives murder a literal sweet taste, harder to hide. With Chloe's nightmares and half-memories resurfacing, she engages in a macabre game of cat and mouse with the killer. As casualties grow and evidence points to the highest levels of the church leadership, Chloe must protect Rosie and her team, but is it from a monster or herself? Like I said, this one is really dark. It's a page turner. It's very like gothic in a sense too. But I also really enjoyed the very like fresh element of having a cop, a detective, who has synesthesia that actually kind of helps her solve cases. So it's a new take that I feel like we really haven't seen in thrillers, and I really enjoyed it. That being said, let's hear from Cobie. So I am super excited to talk with you about Blood in the Cradle, but I did want to get to know a little bit about you before we dive into the book. So what was your I want to write a book moment, or how long have you known you wanted to be an author?
So my love for writing started very young. I was obsessed with names when I was like
Mm,
6, 7, 8. And so like I would always be like buying like little baby books and like looking through names. And then at some point it clicked, hey, I can do something with these. Like I can use these to create characters. And so that's really where that started. And then like I loved um the Little House on the Prairie series. I loved the
mm,
Little Women series. Those were like my books growing up. And so from like I was very young when I knew I wanted to be an author. And so I just kept writing like all through high school. And then I stopped um when I graduated because I was working full time and just didn't have, a lot of time to really sit and work.
yeah.
Um And then fast forward a few years, I got married and I quit my job. So I was at home, like not doing anything for a while. Um, so I started picking it back up, and then I paused again when I had my first daughter, and then with my second daughter, I had very bad postpartum depression. So I was trying to find something that would help, I guess, alleviate it in a way. And that's really when I was like, I really need something for myself
Yeah.
um, to do, and writing was just there. So
Yeah.
I told my husband, I was like, hey, I'm gonna write a book, and he was like, okay.
That's
And I was
awesome.
like, he's like, as a hobby or like as like you want to like publish it? And I was like, I want to publish it. And he was like, okay. And so I did NaNoWriMo
Oh
that
yeah.
year. That was like 6 years ago. So I did that. And that was
Mm-hmm.
like my first like really terrible draft. The story is
Yeah.
like completely different than what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so proud of myself. But then like I started editing.
Yeah.
And so this book's been a long time coming because that was like 6 years
Yeah.
ago. So um that's what
Led
I
you to
forgot.
it.
I lost my train of thought.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, no,
So
you're
that's what
good.
I my brain just like stopped. But
That's okay.
yeah, so that's when I really decided to really pursue writing a book and getting published.
Yeah. That's really cool. Um what is your writing process like? Like, how do you approach it? Do you have like a daily habit, or what do you do?
Well, when I first started, I was writing like 70 hours a week, like editing and
Oh,
writing and
wow.
re-edit, like revising and rewriting. But then I burned out. So,
Yeah,
because
I can imagine.
that's a lot. And so now it's usually like I will work when my husband gets off work. So he finishes work around like 5:30, and then I will work from like 5:30 to 9, which is like the kids' bedtime. So
Yeah,
I've cut back a lot on the hours, but I find that I really don't need 12-hour days to get my work done most of the time.
right.
If I'm on a deadline, it's a little different, but
Yeah.
as long as I have like those 4 or 5 like really focused hours, I can get
Mm-hmm.
it done. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's what I do with that. And then as far as like my process, like it's kind of all over the place, but I think I'm finally starting to nail it down. Um, I do mind maps. Those have really helped me. Like ever since I learned about mind maps and like how to do them, like that really, really helps get my brain going. And just kind of like seeing where all my ideas like connect, which is really cool because my brain is like a crazy, crazy train track there. Um,
Right.
so being able to being able to put them
Visualize.
together
I
and
like
just like
that.
see and visualize it, it helps a lot.
Yeah, I bet. With your characters, when you were saying that you loved coming up with names, I was like, well, that makes sense because all of the names are so wonderful and amazing in this book. Um, so we know you love picking names and you're good at that, but how do you
Mm.
get to know your characters? So does the name come first, like, or do you kind of know who they are and then you name them? How does that happen?
Um, I kind of know who they are first, and then I name them based on
Yeah.
their personality. Um, like Chloe's name is actually I named her after Dove Cameron because her real name is Chloe. And like
Mm-hmm.
during that time, so like when my first daughter was born, um I think Descendants, the movie Descendants was out. And so we watched that a lot. Like there was a lot of like nap times where she wouldn't sleep unless I was holding her, and so we would
Yeah.
watch it like every day. And
Yeah.
so I was like I kind of want to pay tribute to Dove Cameron because that was like a big part of my life during that time. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's where Chloe's name came from. Um, and I don't really have a story for the other names. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they just kind of came to me.
Yeah.
Rosie's name, her name has always been Rosie. Chloe's name has always been Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Nelson's name was it's Blaze Nelson now, but it was originally Jeremy. It was Jeremy for
Mm.
like 3 or 4 drafts, and then I changed it because I was like, I'm not feeling this. Um,
Yeah.
so
That's funny.
um, and Levi's name was originally Alex, um, but then I have a friend named Alex, and I was like, I don't think he'd really appreciate being
Right.
this character, so
Yeah.
I changed it to Levi. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's kind of how that all came to be.
That's cool. With Blood in the Cradle, what was your initial like inspiration point for it?
Um, this is a hard question because I could probably answer it a few different ways.
Yeah.
Um, so originally, um, it was a completely different book, and um, it was more supernatural,
Mm.
um, where the main character could see angels but not
Yeah.
demons, and so it was kind of like that. But I've always been scared of angels. Like growing up, I was always terrified of them, and it has a lot to do with like the church I grew up in and their beliefs. And so I was like, what if I take this a step further and create this like cult that really, really like is obsessed with angels, worships angels, and just kind of go from there.
Mm.
Um, so I guess it was based a lot on like
Yeah.
personal things, but I also wanted to make sure I pushed it far enough so it wasn't like super offensive. I
Yeah,
was like,
yes.
I don't want people to read this and be like, oh my God, I can't believe she wrote this. Um,
Yeah.
but so that's really where it came from to begin with,
Hmm.
and then it just kind of turned into what it was. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
With it kind of like blends together, like we have like crime fiction feeling, thriller feeling, psychological thriller feeling. But then also it's like very emotionally driven. We really
Hmm.
understand the characters and why they're doing what they
Yeah.
do. So how did you approach like balancing all of those elements?
I have to write in layers. So, like, I'll write my draft, and that'll be like the base of everything. And then I'll go back and I'll be like, this version I'm going to add in um the past trauma, and then
Mm-hmm.
like the last version will be where I add in like the sensory stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
to really make sure that's there.
Yeah.
So that's how I have to write, and that I've learned that if I write in layers, it works really well for me instead of trying to write it all out like at once.
Right.
It's easier for me to like fill it in than it is to just spit it out. Um,
Yeah.
so that's kind of how I do that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so speaking of the sensory details, our main character is the detective who has synesthesia.
Hmm.
And I thought that was really cool because I feel like it's not like, especially in thrillers, maybe it's showing up in some contemporary fiction, but it's not like
Hmm.
you're not seeing it a lot in stories. So
Yeah.
what led you to including that, and what did you enjoy about a detective with that kind of superpower?
So I have like really low synesthesia. And I didn't realize I had it until I was an adult. And I have I don't know like the proper name for it, but it's like oh, memory taste or memory. It's like it's very strange. It's um memory, yeah, it's memory to taste, and it's very strange. I don't even know if there's like a word for it. I was trying to research it. I'm like, it has to be synesthesia, like there's no other
Yeah.
explanation for it. um and so for Chloe, um with her, I put in the death taste like cinnamon or sugar or whatever, um because I liked spending time in the hospitals when I was growing up. But we were always like going to the hospital to visit family or going to nursing homes, and like I've always had like that draw to, I guess, death. And
Mm.
so like this morbid fascination that I didn't really ever want to talk about. And I was like, it'd be
Yeah.
really cool if there was a character like that. And I hadn't read one like that
Mm-hmm.
before. So I was like, how can I make this? How can I pull this off? And it was a lot of work to pull it off, but I think it landed how it was supposed to.
Yes.
Um, so with Chloe, it was just getting inside her head and just
Mhm.
really pushing myself to let myself write dark. Um,
Yeah.
because there were definitely some chapters that were harder to write where I really had to push myself and then take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, I think we talked about it a little bit, that there is a child murdered.
Yeah.
I mean, multiple, but especially straight up from the beginning. And so you said
Hmm.
you had some people who were like, this is too dark.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
it is really dark. There's no arguing with it. But I was just so like mesmerized by all of the darkness.
Yeah.
So what kind of helped you like stick to your guns and be like, no, this is the story that I wanted to write?
You know, I just did it.
Yeah.
After a while, like I was in some critique groups and where people like hated it, and like,
Mm.
you know, and I find like a lot in thrillers, if there is a child death, it's always pretty. And it
Oh, you're
always
right.
kind of bothers me. It always kind of bothers me because I'm like, why are they making this like, you know, little girl, her hair is fanned out and her hands are praying, and I'm like, this isn't, you know, like realistic. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's fine for some books, but that's not what I
Really?
wanted for mine. Like, I really wanted the darkness in there, um,
Mhm.
to kind of contrast with um, everything.
Yeah.
Um, and I just had to push myself a lot. I think I just kind of was able to compartmentalize it because
Yeah.
I mean I have two little girls, so
Mhm.
um I would just have to get in a different mindset
Yeah.
to write some of those chapters and some of those
Mhm.
scenes. Um but it didn't really bother me too much.
Yeah.
Once I got past the initial, like there was almost shame attached to it, I think,
Yeah.
from my religious background, and like when I first started telling people I was writing a thriller, they were really surprised. Um and I'm like, yeah, and it's really dark.
So it might not be
So
for you.
yeah, yeah. And like I've had people that I know be like, I don't think I can read it. And I'm like, that's okay. It's not like if you
Yeah.
can't read it, you can't read it. Like I totally understand it's not gonna be for everybody. Um,
Yeah.
so I just kind of pushed myself to just do
Yeah.
it and stop being
Mhm.
afraid of what people would say. And of course there were like a lot of rejections along the way because of it. But
Right.
I'm really happy. I'm really happy with my publisher and um just where the story ended up going. I think I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. Uh it yeah, it really reminded me of like Gillian Flynn, Sharp
Yeah.
Objects, very similar, some just like dark stuff happening
Yeah.
even to kids, and like Dark Places, like that kind of grittiness.
Yeah.
And it really did remind me of Karen Slaughter's grittiness too. So it's like there is the audience for it, but
Hmm.
I understand why some people get
Yeah.
nervous. It's whatever.
Yeah.
In terms of like
That's why
getting
those yeah,
rejections.
that's why those content warnings are there. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
made sure to put those in there
Yeah.
because I didn't want anyone to like jump into it not knowing. Although I still think people have done that, but that's if you know,
Probably. Yeah, you can't help everybody. Like some of them are just
yeah.
not going to listen or not
Yeah,
going to
and they
even read
change and
it.
we changed the title to Blood in the Cradle, so like it would be, you know, people would
Clear.
be clear, but I still think people don't think that it's going to be as dark as it is. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
very gothic
yeah,
too.
yeah.
hmm and so then there are a lot of interesting family relationships going on.
Hmm.
And so Chloe's kind of like estranged. Is it half
It's
sister,
her
right?
half
Not
sister,
step,
yeah.
yeah, half sister. Rosie is married to the son who is the pastor at the church. I'm trying not to butcher all of this,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
her storyline's very emotional and it's very sad too because she's kind of
Hmm.
caught up in a, to keep it spoiler free, but like we know there's some shady stuff happening at this church, so she's kind of caught up in this
Yeah.
weird place as well. So what was it like reading her story? Because hers is sad.
Rosie's story.
Yeah, Rosie. Yeah.
So originally the second point of view was Nelson's.
Mm.
Um, and my agent was like, after a couple edits, she was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think it's working. She's like, not that I don't love it. It's just
Yeah.
that it didn't feel right. Like Nelson's all about Chloe and like she's like, it's a little too much romance. I was like, okay. So then we were like spitballing
Mm.
ideas. And I was like, what if I did Rosie's point of view? And she was
Yeah.
like, yes. She was like, do it. And I wrote Rosie's point of view in one draft. And it was surprisingly very easy to write.
Yeah.
Um, and it's kind of like she's kind of, you know, the opposite of Chloe. She's a lot like how I feel I was growing up. So it was really interesting writing a character because it's like Rosie's kind of like how I was as a kid and like
Yeah.
growing up, and then Chloe's kind of like I don't want to say where I am now because Chloe's a lot darker
Yeah.
and like more depressing, but
Right.
but it's kind of just the contrast between the two, and
Yes.
so it was really interesting and really healing in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I
Yeah.
think that um, people seem to really relate to Rosie and like really seem to understand like yeah she's kind of crazy but at the same time like this is how she was raised, and
Right.
So it was really interesting writing that, and then I can't give any spoilers, so
Yeah.
um I
Yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
but
That's cool though that it kind of came out of just like
yeah,
figuring out what the best way to structure the novel was, and like she was kind of the
yeah,
missing piece. That's
yeah.
cool. So some of the themes you kind of dive into are about like faith and identity and also trauma and how that shapes
Hmm.
actually our faith and our identity too. So how did you approach incorporating all of those into this really dark story?
Um, Carefully.
Right.
Um, like I said earlier, like I based it off the church that I grew up in. Um,
Mhm.
but it's not like I wanted to make sure that I pushed it
Mhm.
further, um, just to really get that extremist point of view in there, and like I don't know, it's just it was interesting to like the cathedral was really interesting to write,
Yeah.
um and just kind of basing it on certain things that like I could remember, like how I remember. And like a lot of things from your childhood, like you end up romanticizing, or you remember a certain way that might not have been exactly how it was. And
Mhm.
so it was really cool to see like where it ended up. And my it was really healing in a lot of ways. And like
Yeah.
my main goal, it was for people to see themselves in Chloe or Rosie or both, like to have
Yeah.
a character that they could relate to, um because that's something that's really important to me, is when I read, is I want to be able to relate to the character, and like seeing yourself in
Yeah.
a book is really something special, I think.
Yeah.
um and so I my hope was that in a way that by um writing the darkness, that people would find a way to heal and see that they're not alone, even if the outcome isn't always what we want it to be.
Right.
Sometimes just seeing yourself in a character can really make a big difference. So
Yeah.
that was my goal with the faith and the church and all of that. um,
Yeah.
and I have had a couple people tell me that it was really cool to be able to relate in that way, because not a lot of thriller, especially thrillers, do that. Some do.
Mhm.
I mean, you have to really search for them, but
Right.
so that was my main goal, was to make
Yeah.
sure that what I wrote about faith and just everything like that was that there would be people that would be like, hey, I recognize this, like I understand how this feels. Um and yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. No, that's something that I actually think I end up enjoying about thrillers is like Garrett and I go back and forth on this sometimes because he is just fine with a very, very depressing and like not totally tied up ending, which like I'm okay with not tied up endings too. Can you
Hmm.
hear that lawnmower?
A little bit. It's not bad
Okay.
though.
It's like right underneath my window right now. Um, but I like thrillers. By and large, something I like in thrillers is that like you are against a lot of darkness, like the characters are. There's been a lot of pain or whatever, but the
Hmm.
story still gets to give them some feeling of like redemption or
Yeah.
just like it's kind of like I get like the good feeling from like defeating the odds or like rising against the
Hmm.
stuff that they're up against. So I love that in thrillers. So I did love that part as
Yeah.
well. It sounds like obviously kind of like the church you grew up in was it like informed some of the direction you headed with
Yeah.
it, but did you do any other like research into like high demand religions or cults?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I did a lot of reading about like Bethel, um, which also was part of I don't know if I told you, but there was a little girl a few years ago that had passed away, and they her parents refused autopsy because of their religion, and then they tried to raise her from the dead. Um You didn't know about that?
I do not know about this
Yeah,
somehow. I
and
don't
this
know
went on for
why.
like it went on for like a week. Her parents were worship leaders at Bethel, and it
Oh,
was very at that time I was still in religion. I Right now I'm kind of out of it. So but it was a really turning part point in my own beliefs because it was very confusing. And I remember like seeing friends post about it, and they're like, God can raise her from the dead and all this stuff. And she did end up, I think, having the autopsy because she was so young that they had to. And then of course she didn't raise from the dead. And so that kind of really stuck to me. Like the question like Rosie struggles with a lot is like, why can't God do it?
yep.
Um, and so that was one of the bigger um inspirations for that part of the story. But also
Yeah.
growing up I also went through something similar
Mm-hmm.
where the pastor's wife had had a heart attack and was in a coma, and there was a church service that night or a couple nights later where they were like proclaiming she was gonna be raised from the dead, or brought back from her vegetable state. And
Right.
so I that was really kind of traumatic growing
Yeah.
up, like, um, and they kicked the kids out for that. Most of it, we were in a class, but we could hear everything that was going on. So it was like, I don't
Wow.
know. And so a lot of things like that happened to me in real life. Um, Maybe at a different level, but similar. But when that little girl in California, when that happened to her, it really like made me step back and be like, whoa, this is a
That's messed
lot. Like
up.
this is a lot. And like I can't imagine like the the trauma that that's like caused, you know. Um,
Right.
so
Yeah.
and then I did a lot of reading about like other religions, or like just in general like religions where they've tried to raise people from the dead and it hadn't worked, like um because I just find that really interesting, and it's such a like hard thing to understand, like depending on where you are in your faith. It's like, why, just why won't God do it? Or why did he do it this time but he won't do it now, and
Right.
so that question's always like lingered in my head.
Yep.
um I'll have to send
Yeah.
you the name of that case because it
I
was
just
it
found
was
it.
you
Oh,
did. Yeah,
yeah. This is so sad. And she's 2 years old,
yeah,
or was 2 years old. That's so
yeah.
sad.
It was really sad, and I felt bad like for the parents because the parents were up
Yeah.
on stage singing, like they
Oh,
were they were doing it too, and I was like, I can't imagine like the toll this is going to take on them like in the future.
yeah.
um
Yeah.
and I hope they're doing okay.
Right.
But that's, yeah, that's where that all came together for me.
Yeah.
And
I
just
feel like
really
it
like
like
going back
mingles
and
with people who want to have a god complex are the ones
hmm
like taking religion to really strange places.
yeah, and like the pastor, when she didn't raise from the dead, was just like, well, this was God's plan all along. And I'm
Oh,
like, and it's I'm like, this is confusing.
that was
And
like
I
with the
remember
floods in
like,
Texas.
yeah, yeah.
And people were like, those children were meant to meet Jesus that day. And I'm like,
I'm like, I don't think that's how this works. And it's like
don't
those kind of questions that like I always wanted to ask growing up that, I couldn't. It's not that I wasn't allowed to, it was just I didn't want to. And if you did
right.
ask, it's just, oh, well, you gotta trust God.
Yep.
So that was kind of where I was coming from with all of that,
Yeah.
and just kind of putting in my own questions. Um,
Yeah.
and Rosie's questioning um comes a lot from a lot of my questions too. So,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially people like our age, because I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of us grew up that way.
Mm-hmm.
um so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We did. I did, at least. I mean, not to this degree, but there was definitely a lot of
Yeah,
like, don't ask questions, just believe. That's what faith is.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's just, yeah, it's heavy.
Hmm.
Um, so you actually mentioned renaming him. But I also noticed like Levi and Judith are kind of biblical names. Was there any biblical
Hmm.
inspiration for their names?
Um, I mean, I got them. That's why I picked them, was
Yeah.
because of the Bible. And Levi's name is actually Leviticus, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
He's such a jerk. So I'm like, I'm gonna give him this terrible name. Um,
Yeah. I love that.
but
He
yeah, I
deserved
tried
it.
to
He
keep.
deserved
Yeah, he did.
it. Yeah.
So,
I did. Yeah. It's always interesting the little things you can incorporate with names.
hmm yeah. So I
Yeah.
tried to keep all their names sort of biblical.
Hmm.
Because the reverend's name is also Cornelius, and I'm pretty sure there's a
Yeah.
Cornelius in the Bible.
There
Um,
is.
so I was trying to pick names that um, were biblical but might not be as common.
Right.
Um, so that was
Yeah.
fun. That was fun.
That's
That was a lot
cool.
of fun.
Yeah. Stop it. Hey,
And Chloe's name is actually in the Bible too.
is it really? I was wondering about that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I think
That's
it
cool.
in the somewhere in the New Testament.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
Well, I loved it. I loved Chloe as a main character. I love Chloe as a detective. Will there be more of Chloe in the future?
yes, I'm
Yeah.
currently waiting for my edits back from my editor for the
Mhm.
second book. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited because this book, she's dealing with PTSD. I mean, she obviously has it in the first book, but now she's like really, really knows she has it and she has to go to therapy and stuff like that. And she also has a new boss,
Oh.
so who doesn't like her. So
Oh
that's gonna
no.
be it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's gonna be really cool. I'm excited for
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
there's
I'm
some new
excited to stay with
characters.
the
Yeah.
characters. Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be kind of fun, like building a whole world, then you get to like spend more
Hmm.
time in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
very excited
great.
for it.
Yeah.
It's a different second point of view, so you'll get to
Ooh.
meet a new character.
That's exciting.
She's in book one, but she has a much bigger role in the second book. So
Nice.
yeah.
We're gonna have to hold out for figure out who it is. Where can people follow you to stay up to date?
My website is
Mhm.
CobieLaJeanne.com, and then Instagram is just Cobie LaJeanne. Those are the main two places I'm at. I'm also on Facebook.
Mhm.
I check that every once in a while, but
Yeah.
mostly I'm on Instagram and my newsletter, through my
Yeah.
website. So those are the biggest places right now.
Awesome. Well, I'll add those links to the show notes. And thank you for talking with me about Blood in the Cradle.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for having
That's
me.
so fun.